When Drogon descended on the fighting pits of Meereen, the world remembered what fear looked like. Under 3 years old, he had a giant wingspan, estimated at 30 to 40 feet, old enough to melt stone, old enough to make armies run, but he would have been an insect next to the things on this list. The Valyrian gods didn't just watch from Pyraethra. During alignments the priests called Congruent Hours, the gods descended to the mortal world in dragon form, living, breathing, fire-made flesh, and every one of them, even the gentlest, dwarfed, the most terrifying dragon the modern world has ever seen. This is the complete ranking of all 14 Valyrian gods in dragon form, from smallest to largest. And I need you to hold this in your head before we start. That image of Drogon, wings spread over the arena, fire pouring from his jaws, the most dangerous creature anyone alive had ever witnessed. He was 30 to 40 feet across, the smallest god on this list. She is nearly 8 times his size, and that's number 14. There are 13 more that are even more powerful and larger. I'm your maester at the Black Dread. Let's get started. Number 14, the smallest, Cyrax. She was known to the Valyrians as the Broodmother, the goddess of fertility, households, and kin-law. In dragon form, she becomes a hearthwing matron with warm gold scales, soft brow ridges, and a low brood rumble that settled eggs and calmed hatchlings for miles. Her wingspan was around 291 feet, with a shoulder height of 61 feet. Picture Drogon at Slaver's Bay. Now, picture something nearly 8 times wider blotting out the sky above him. Cyrax was never built to fight. She was built to protect. Her signature power, many called Brood Call, could pacify every dragon in a nesting range. The smallest god wasn't the weakest. She was the one who kept the others from tearing each other apart. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon her to strengthen the breeding call, blessing them with healthy dragon eggs. Number 13, Elisar, known to our ancestors as the Hand That Heals, the goddess of healing, surgery, and mercy. In dragon form, she becomes a sagewing with pale jade veining across her scales and a chest that pulsed with steady, cool light. Her wingspan was around 384 feet, with a shoulder height of 80 feet. That's roughly 10 times the size of the dragon that terrorized Meereen. Her breath wasn't fire. It was something the priests called mercy vapor, a cooling mist that broke fevers, sealed wounds, and could override a war command if the healer judged it unjust. Elisar's veto was divine law. Even in war, her veto stopped Vaggar. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon her to cool forge burns, train surgeons, and protect the hatcheries when plague swept the peninsula. Number 12, Saurin, known as the Laughing Mask, the god of theater, misdirection, and espionage. In dragon form, he becomes a mirage wing with edge-transparent scales, a heat ripple silhouette, and footfalls that echoed from the wrong direction. His wingspan was around 425 feet, with a shoulder height of 89 feet, and you could barely see him. His signature power, called refraction breath, bent light itself. Armies marching toward him saw nothing. Armies marching away saw him everywhere. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Saurin to expose liars with clever lies, to license satire that revealed truth without bloodshed, and run the coded networks that kept the freehold safe. Now we cross a threshold, because from here, every god on this list is larger than the mortal Vaggar, the biggest dragon Westeros saw after Balerion died. We are so far past Drogon at Slaver's Bay that the comparison stops making sense. A fly circling a bonfire, tied at 11 and 10. Tolier and Mantara, both with wingspans of 492 feet and shoulder heights of 103 feet. Tolier, the lord of red mirage, the god of desert endurance, mirage craft, and the outer kilns. In dragon form, he becomes a dune worm with sand-tan scales, glass spurs, and microstorms that spun off his claws with every step. His signature power, called Glasstorm, could vitrify roads across open desert in minutes. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Tolier to guide caravans through the deep wastes, guard the cisterns, and fire the outer kilns beyond the 14 flames. Mantara was known to the Valyrians as the Keeper of Light, the goddess of beacons, thresholds, and rescue. In dragon form, she becomes a beacon wing with lantern-bright eyes and a throat beam, visible for hundreds of miles. Her signature power, called Pharos Flare, could rekindle every lighthouse in a chain with a single cry. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Mantara to sanctify river crossings, keep the beacon chains lit before storm season, and rescue those lost at sea. Same size as Tolier, different purpose. Both indispensable to the freehold survival. Number 9. Draos, known as the Maker of Teeth and Reins, the god of forgecraft, safety, and the artisan's oath. In dragon form, he becomes an embermorph forge fury with a furnace-orange gullet, a soot-black muzzle, and wings that beat like forge bellows. His wingspan was around 512 feet, with a shoulder height of 107 feet. His signature power, called Tempering Breath, didn't just melt metal. It refined it. Draos was the reason Valyrian steel existed. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon him to inspire sound gear, condemn shoddy craftsmanship, and bless every piece of dragon ride attack that kept a rider alive at 10,000 feet. Number 8. Valdron, the Ash Keeper at the Gate, the god of death, funerary order, and remembrance. In dragon form, he becomes an ash mourner with pearl ash scales, muted wing beats, and a cinder snow breath that fell like silent winter. His wingspan was around 524 feet, with a shoulder height of 110 feet. His signature power, called the Quieting Shroud, silenced battlefields after the killing stopped. Where Valdron passed, the dead were honored and their names preserved. Where he was ignored, the dead came back in other ways. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon him to carry urns to the cliff gates, maintain the funerary rolls, and ensure that no soul went unnamed into the fire. Number 7. Maraxis, the Lady of Salt and Stars, the goddess of sea lanes, charts, and currents. In dragon form, she becomes a tide leviathan with deep green scales crusted in salt rime and steam wreaths billowing on every exhale. Her wingspan was around 554 feet, with a shoulder height of 116 feet. Her mortal namesake, the dragon Rhaenys Targaryen rode into dawn, was 410 feet, already one of the largest dragons Westeros ever knew. The goddess was 140 feet larger. Her signature power, called Brine Fire, could boil harbors. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Maraxis to guard their ports, reveal hidden currents, and favor the honest pilots and mapmakers who kept the freehold's trade routes alive. Number 6. Naesa, known to the Valyrians as the Perfumed Hand, the goddess of love, diplomacy, and the arts of beauty. In dragon form, she becomes a gold veil seraph with champagne scales and an auric haze that made armies lower their weapons before they understood why. Her wingspan was around 571 feet, with a shoulder height of 120 feet. Her signature power, called Accord Veil, didn't force peace. It revealed the cost of refusing it. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Naesa to end feuds by accord, bless marriages of policy, and sponsor the artisans whose beauty softened the edges of an empire built on fire. Number 5. Choros, known as the Lord of Bound Words, the god of law, contracts, and bondage. In dragon form, he becomes a gavel worm with charcoal scales etched in glowing sigil lines and an ash glass collar that hummed when oaths were spoken in his presence. His wingspan was around 595 feet, with a shoulder height of 125 feet. His signature power, called Bonfire, sealed oaths that could not be broken and burned alive anyone who tried. Choros didn't need to fight. He simply made you agree not to. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon him to witness contracts, arbitrate wills, set the terms of succession, and govern the toll courts that kept the freehold's commerce honest. The top 4, where mortal scale ends. Number 4. Elra, known to the Valyrians as the mistress of the charted sky, the goddess of astronomy, air lanes, and messages. In dragon form, she becomes a sky shriek sovereign, with pale azure membranes flecked with starlight and contrail wisps, trailing her wingtips in high turns. Her wingspan was around 632 feet, with a shoulder height of 132 feet. Her signature power, called Star Path Sight, mapped air lanes across the entire freehold in a single pass. When Elra flew, every courier dragon in Valyria felt the route open beneath them. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon her to keep the air lane laws, protect the courier networks, and update the sky charts at every eclipse. Number 3. Vaggar, the Bronze Thunder and the Wing of Victory, the goddess of war drill, stormcraft, and disciplined combat. In dragon form, she becomes a stormclaw titan with slate scales, serrated leading-edge spurs, and a pressure wave halo that crackled with thunder. Her wingspan was around 647 feet, with a shoulder height of 136 feet. The mortal Vaggar, the dragon Aemond Targaryen rode, was 479 feet and considered the most dangerous creature alive. The goddess was nearly 200 feet larger. Her signature power, called Tempest Command, didn't just summon storms, she was the storm. The pressure wave off her wing beats alone could ground smaller dragons from a mile away. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Vaggar to train their beacon pilots, bless the war drills, and steady the courage of commanders who led formations into battle. Now it gets quiet, because the last two aren't ranked with the others. They sit above the original twin flames. Number 2. Thorax, known to the Valyrians as the Mother of Mountains and she who wakes the vents, the goddess of world forging, nesting warmth, and the volcanic ward. In dragon form, she becomes a pyroclast matron, a ventworm with white and crimson armor, heat shimmer joints, and a breath that rippled the air before it ever became flame. Her wingspan was around 982 feet, her length 848 feet, her shoulder height 206 feet. This is the goddess who descended from Pyraethra in the age before calendars and shaped 2 ancient vents into the 14 flames, one for each god. Her signature power, called Vent Calm Cataclysm, could raise or silence volcanoes. She didn't ride fire, she tuned it. A single wing, tip to shoulder, was longer than 20 Drogons laid end-to-end at Slaver's Bay. That's one wing. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Cyrax to raise and soothe the vents, to bless the eggstone edges where dragons nested, and to mother the 12, because even gods needed a mother. Number 1. Valyrian, known to the Valyrians as the Father of Flames and he who drinks the world fire, the god of oath fire, beginnings and endings. In dragon form, he becomes an obsidian colossus with basalt black plates, smoked glass wing membranes, star iron horn ridges, and a throat that glowed with banked magma even at rest. His wingspan was around 1,155 feet, his length 998 feet, his shoulder height 242 feet. His footfalls, cracked stone. His signature power, called Worldforge Oathfire, didn't destroy. It sealed, it sanctified, it judged. A flame that could not burn the innocent, but would consume a liar from the inside out. Drogon, the dragon that made the world tremble at Slaver's Bay, could have landed on the father's shoulder and not been noticed. Our ancient Valyrian ancestors called upon Valyrian to sanctify their oaths, steady their forges, empower their greatest works, and judge the perjurers, with a fire that knew the difference between guilt and innocence. 14 gods, 14 dragon forms, 14 flames forged to mirror them. And here's what the old liturgies never explain. The gods could only descend during congruent hours, rare alignments of beacon, storm, and eclipse. Brief windows. One divine night could reshape a century below, which means, for most of Valyrian history, the gods were watching, waiting, choosing not to come down. The question the priests never dared ask, the one the 40 families buried in their deepest archives, isn't how large the gods were. It's what would have happened if all 14 descended at once. I'm your maester. At the black dread, the bones remember.